Aisha, thanks so much. A consumer first alert this morning. A scam happening right now to people hunting for an apartment. And Tammy, some people losing money as well.
Yeah, viewers tell us they're losing money. People around the state are reporting this scam, and an Action 2 News viewer in Weyauwega called to tell me that she lost money filling out an application. She found an apartment listing on Facebook and then realized it was all a scam. And the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection is warning about this rental application scam. Here's how it works. Scammers pose as landlords and direct people to pay to fill out fake applications.
They were told that they needed to submit an application, which is pretty standard and normal, but they were also told to include a $60 per adult application fee before they could even tour the property.
Important tips to avoid a rental scam. You want to verify the listing. If you find the same property with different prices or contact information, it's likely a scam. Look closely at rental companies' official websites. Check the satellite street view maps. Search up property records. And don't overshare personal information like your social security number before you've agreed to rent. And be alert if you're pressured for that money up front before you've even seen the place in person. And a big red flag, too, that they won't meet you in person. And the Federal Trade Commission says young renters under 30 are hit the hardest in these rental scams. And I'll talk more about that and the most popular platforms where you're going to find these scams. That's tonight on Action 2 News at 5.
So many people looking for a place to live. An important story. Looking forward to that, Tammy. Thank you.